Hi there, welcome back to my channel. I'm Julie, and today I have something pretty exciting to share with you. Today is the beginning of a brand new video series that I will be collaborating with my very good friend Janice. We just came back from a pretty awesome Disneyland trip, and we thought it would be fun to document our trip together. So you're in for a treat. We have broken this down by day, and we are each going to document the same day in our own unique ways. Let's start at the beginning, because a Disney album can feel completely overwhelming. It's so easy to take hundreds of photos a day, but when you get home, suddenly the pressure is on to give them all justice, and that can totally paralyze your creativity. We want this series to help you take the pressure off and make it fun. Let's talk about how we selected our photos for today's video. Today we're going to document the castle. Janice and I actually started sorting our photos while we were still on our vacation. And once we got home, we looked at our entire trip, we grouped everything by day and event, created this really helpful spreadsheet. The idea here is to keep us on track while we're documenting our awesome Disneyland adventure. Let's get started. All right, let's talk paper. Before we do that, you saw that when I was scrolling through my phone, I have over 750-ish photos in there. That is actually a shared album that has been pruned. And this video series is going to consist of 3 days. So 3 days in Disney, over 1,000 photos. Oh my gosh, where do you start? Well, let's look at some of our papers. And you know what? I am completely going to shop my stash to do this album because I haven't found any Disney paper that I truly love. One thing that Disney is known for, or Disney paper, is black, red, yellow, and sometimes blue. This is an old paper pack from close to my heart. It is called The Happiest Place, and of course it's retired, but this is what I mean by the color combination that most Disney papers will have. You will always find black because, let's face it, we want to match that mouse. And the blue, I'm thinking the blue for the blue skies or for Cinderella. Yellow is happy. Red, of course, red polka dot for Minnie. All of that good stuff. So this is the first pack that I pulled out, obviously, and when I bring in my photos for the castle, and you saw that I gave you a clip of a few of them, I don't think this is going to go. I don't think that this is truly going to capture those photos. I also went through anything I could find. These are ephemeras that were in my stash, and anything that was black, I kind of set it to the side, and I'm going to try and work with it. Now, when I went to Disneyland with Janice, it was spring, and there were beautiful flowers everywhere. So I thought, well, maybe I can pull out a few flower collections. This is an older collection, again, from close to my heart. This is Enjoy the Ride. And the reason why I pulled this one is because it has some of those primary colors. It has that nice blue, the red, and orange. Look at the gorgeous suns here on this backside. And of course you have some of this red. So again, I don't think I'll be using this particular pack today for my photos, only because the photos that I'm documenting today, I don't feel they have that traditional black, red, yellow kind of vibe. So I looked at these two collections, and you're probably thinking, okay, whoa, that's a lot. But let me show you this one in particular, and let me tell you why I pulled this one out. This is called Lovely Garden. It is from Stampin' Up. And yes, it's full of flowers and all of that good stuff. But let me see here if I can grab all of the sheets. When you turn this collection on the back side, or the B side if you want, let me try and fan this out for you. Do you see all of these colors, or a lack of colors if you want? There's a lot of black and white. There's this gorgeous green. I love this stripe. And I do like this color right here. This is probably Fresh Freesia. I might have that wrong. But look at the back side of this collection. Let me bring in my photos and you'll see why this collection was kind of like, okay, this collection is going to be in the forefront. We are documenting the castle, and when we went, as I was saying, it was spring and these gorgeous pink flowers were all over the park. Do you see the gorgeous colors that are in my photos? And I have several photos here. I've got another photo of the castle with the nice pink. And then I have a series of these little statuettes. And we'll talk about these in a moment. But they're all within the circle where you've got Walt and Mickey. But when I look at my photos against this paper collection, let's just take the green out for one moment. Do you see how that really goes? You have gorgeous black and white prints here, and I do feel that if you're doing a Disney album, you kind of have to have a little bit of black, because definitely Mickey is going to be in some of your pictures, if not all of your pictures. But I really felt that this color palette really highlighted my photos. So I kept on looking, and I'm going to just try and put these to the side here. This paper collection here is also really pretty. I was looking at flowers because of all of the gorgeous blooms that were everywhere in the park, but I find that this is way too distracting. It's taken away from my photos, but I want to show you the kind of the same thing. When you look at these collections, there's always a B-side. And the B-side is usually not as bold. So this one here, the first one I showed you, the green was really a darker green. This one here is more of the olive green, I believe. So take a look at what you have and flip them over. Look at the other sides. See this here? If I was to pair this up with the stripes, the black and white stripe, and adding possibly some blue or some red, all of a sudden this very floral paper collection reads as a Disney collection. But I really do want to look at what I have in my crafty space and see what I can use to really highlight all of my photos. So I'm just going to go through these quickly. This is another pretty one that would look really nice with the black and the white. And this one here, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I might have to mix and match some collections. So this is the, let me flip this over. This is the Floral Impressions. I like the B side. I actually like this as well. But again, it's kind of stealing the show from the trees and the flowers. And let's not forget the castle. I could use it sparely, but I really like the B side. So let me move some stuff out of the way. I find that this really picks up on the trees, and the pattern is also really nice. I don't know if you can see, it's a very subtle pattern. Let's pick our papers and we're going to move on to building our page. Now, I do like the black. Think I'm going to bring in some of the black. I really like this pattern. I could stick with this pattern here, but I find that this one's a little bit darker, and you know what? I kind of like the background of this. I find that this background is more usable for me. Let's take a look at this one. This one here, yes, I could definitely use it, but when I'm looking at both of these sheets, I prefer this one. And this one here, I can actually use both sides for this album. So all right, we're gonna go with 1, 2. This is pretty, but I don't like the scale of it. We're just gonna go through process of elimination. This one here I really like, but I also know we're gonna be documenting Galaxy's Edge. So I think I'm gonna keep this print for that one. So that leaves us with this black and white polka dot. Let's take a look at these flowers. You know what? This could work. It could, definitely. But I think I want to keep the background plain because the photos are so pretty. So, okay, I think I'm going to go with the safe bet if you want. I'm going to put all of my photos here on top. I'm going to go with a white base. It has small black polka dots. I'm going to bring in this gorgeous stripe that you can see so that I have some black. I'm pretty sure I'm going to try and keep black throughout the album. And then for a pop of color, I think I'm going to bring in this one. So if I look at my photos now and I look at the papers that I have in front of me, I feel that although this is not Disney paper, if you want, I do have that, you know, signature black and white. And I'm going to bring in this color because at the time of year we were there, these trees were in full bloom and I do want to capture that. I am going to adhere down these pages so they don't go all over the place. And for now, I'm just going to put this down. So you can see against the mat, you can see that you've got a nice white base. And a lot of my scrapbook pages start off with a white base, but I do like that this one has just a hint of a polka dot. So let's bring back the other two pattern papers that I want to work with. And I wanted to bring this one back into frame now that you're looking at my photo selection. Do you see how the traditional, if you want, Disney colors are not really, I don't know, I just don't feel that they are highlighting these photos here. When I'm looking for papers to scrapbook my photos, I will look at the colors within my photos. And here you can tell that, let's take the Disney paper away for a minute. It doesn't mean that it's not going to make an appearance. It just means that it's not going to make an appearance today. So let me take all of these tiny little photos out of the way. But do you see how I've got the black? And this is really pulling, the blue looks really good against it, and I can really see these trees, and that's something that was important to me. Let's talk photo selection for just a moment, because let's face it, it's hard to pare it down to just a few photos and to make it look good on a layout. I don't want to overwhelm my layout with a whole bunch of photos, but I do want to capture the moment. So for me, capturing the moment was walking up to the castle and Janice saying, "This is it, this is the castle." And I'm like, "This is the castle? Like there's no castle in back? Like this is it?" And she's like, "Yes, this is Sleeping Beauty's castle." And I thought, okay. To be quite honest with you, all of my Disney adventures have been at Disney World, and this was my first time at Disneyland, and I don't want to compare the two because as I go through my album, you will see that Disneyland has truly captured my heart, but the castle is small. The castle is much smaller than Cinderella's castle. Sleeping Beauty's castle was definitely the first one, and you know what? It's small, but it's so pretty. I love the colors. When you look at it up close, you can see that just the roof line is the same blue as the brilliant blue that you see in the sky. It has a touch of pink. It is truly enchanted. But my first impression, if I have to be completely honest with you, I found the castle a little bit small. When I started to select my photos, I realized that I had a lot of portrait style photos. So I decided, okay, well, let's see how these will look if we kind of put them straight in the middle of my page. And then these ones here, I was able to crop down into a square. So this one is going to go right here. And I am going to bring a flip flap because I did take other photos or other angles of the castle. This is as I was walking inside the castle. I just thought the color of the brick, it was so unique. The blue really kind of blended into the landscape. So this is going to go here on a flip flap, and I decided that it's going to flip out. Most of the times I make them flip up, but I decided this one's going to flip out because I want to do some sort of embellishment right here. So I'm well on my way to having my photos on this double page layout. I've got this here. As you walk up to the castle, you will walk through this center hub, and this is where you'll see Walt and of course Mickey Mouse. All around this statue, you have a walkway, and then you have all of these cute little statues. And I think it was Janice. Janice thought this would make for a really good scrapbooking layout. And you know what? She was right. This photo is actually kind of funny. And if you've been on my channel before, you know my husband has this thing with squirrels. And this is Chip 'n Dale's. I could have just put Chip 'n Dale and called it a day. But Janice took a picture of me taking a selfie with Chip and Dale. Sorry for the glare here. This is already in a flip-flap. And I thought that that was going to be cute. And I was going to add it in a flip-flap just to kind of finish off my story. Let's talk about bringing in the black and this gorgeous color here. Now I don't want this to take over my page. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to flank both sides. I love that the pattern runs up and down, and you probably can't see that, but it is there. And then I'm going to put this at the bottom. I'm going to ground all of these little photos. Now what I have to decide, when you're working with stripes, you always have to decide, do you want to see a lot of the stripe or not a lot of the stripes? So if I put them this way, they're running kind of opposite of these ones here, but if I run them this way, let's put it on this side. You might be able to see that those are in the same direction. You can see that when you flip the pattern over, you definitely see more of the pattern. I'm not sure if I like it like that. Let me bring in the second sheet here. I don't want to cut into this because I think that this collection is going to play a big role in this album. So let's put this one this way. And we're going to add our photos. I think I like it like this. I think I like it going up and down vertically instead of horizontally. I could switch this way, but I find that that's too busy. Here I'm looking for the color, not so much the pattern. So this one, 100%, it's going vertically. And this one here, maybe I need another mat. I find that my mats are a little bit small. I tried to keep my photos as big as I could. These are only 2x2s, so I didn't want to shrink them down too much, but now I feel that they need a little bit of help. So maybe, just maybe, because I still have some of that really pretty pink, I do like the double matting, but I'm not sure if that's the right color. Maybe I want to introduce some blue down here because of the blue sky. That's a little bit dark. That might be nice. You know what? Let me cut some of these pieces down. I know that I want to flank both sides of my double page layout. And I'm going to cut a piece down. I'll sacrifice a piece. I think I want to make it go in the vertical. I'm not 100% sure. Sometimes you kind of have to cut into it to see how it's going to look, especially when you're dealing with stripes. Okay, let's bring in some of my cut pieces. I'm just going to straighten out my photos for you. And this is what I mean by not adding too much, but just the right touch of this color. And I really like it on this side. This piece here is a little bit bigger. So we're going to add this. And do you see how the blue really pops against this color? So I do like that. I do like that it's kind of completing and framing my page. Now for these little guys here, I did go ahead and I cut some mats. And now I have to decide, do I want the stripes to go vertically, or do I want my stripes to go horizontally? And I think I want this. Let's take a look at, I did cut some cardstock. I want to make sure that it gives it the right impact. Do you see the difference between the two stripes? This here is quite busy and it's actually distracting. This one here, although is busy, I think that you can read the photos better. Like the photos pop out a little bit more. So I think we're going to go with this one. Yes, I had to sacrifice a piece, but it's still a good usable piece. I'm going to go with the horizontal lines, and I think I'm going to do a little bit of black ink distressing, and then we're going to bring in a few embellishments. Now, even though this is a Disney album, it doesn't have to be overdone. I just think that these photos are so beautiful. The colors in them are so, so beautiful that I really wanted them to stand out from this background. And this background is perfect. It has just a little bit of black, just that right amount with those small specks. I wish I could get 24 sheets of this, but it is not possible. Maybe I'll have to make my own as I go. But this is how it's shaping up. Let me kind of adhere some of these pieces down, and then I'll come back. I'll talk about my title and what I want to do for my embellishments. Let's take a look at the progress so far, and I just want to show you that I did ink distress the edges of my white mats, and I'm going really, really lightly. I am barely touching the mat, and I'm going at a slight angle. I don't want this to take over the photo and the page once it's all put together. And we're just going to do that. All right, so you have that very faint definition of black, and I really do like that. Let's talk about the photos and the placement. Now, these were all pretty much my favorite photos, and that's what's going to happen when you start documenting your Disney story. They're all your favorite photos. They all need the spotlight, but you know what? They can't all have the spotlight. But I was happy to kind of separate these out, and these were, like I said to you, they were taken in a portrait orientation. And I could have easily printed these bigger, but you know what? It's a lot of the same thing. But I wanted to really capture the castle and the fact that I was there with my very good friend Janice. So that was a lot of fun. When it came to these little statues, Janice spotted them first, I think, because I was so busy looking at the flowers and admiring the view. And she said, oh, this would make for a really good scrapbook page. I'm like, but that's a lot of photos. How am I going to fit all of these gorgeous little statuettes on one layout without making it look super busy? And I think that I've achieved that by simply, you know, just making them a little bit smaller. Now, I am kind of positioning them in a way where Donald is looking in, and this is Pluto. Pluto is looking in. These two are kind of facing. There's a picture of me here, but don't forget I will be adding a flip flap. So I've got my two Chip and Dale, and then of course it ends with Minnie. And I think that this was a really good solution. Although they are only 2x2 photos, when you put them beside my big photo here, do you see that Minnie is actually bigger than Mickey on this photo and this photo as well? So don't be afraid to print your photos in a smaller format. And I was actually able to put them all on one 4x6, and I had 6 of them on one sheet. So that was really, really good. Now let's not forget the castle. I will be adding the castle right here. And I could have had a whole page with just the castle, because you're going to want to take a picture of the castle from every angle that you see it, because it is truly pretty when you see it in person. So I thought, okay, I'll remedy that with a flip flap. Now you can look at the page and you can appreciate all of the photos, and nothing is like kind of out of balance. There's a nice balance. There's bright colors. This is supporting my photos. I love the way that the photos all have their own space if you want. There's not too much going on. I've seen a lot of Disney layouts where there's so much going on with Disney ephemera in the back and stickers and all of that, and the pictures get lost. I want to make an effort in this series to show you that you don't have to overdo the background. When you look at the background right now, you have white. This could totally be just white. And then I have one accent color that I pulled from my photos, and that's it. Of course, I'm going to bring in some black, because black is a staple for Disney albums as far as I'm concerned. And we're just going to add this one down. So let me show you how I'm going to lay this down. So we're going to add this piece first. And you know, this piece is a little bit tricky to work with because the lines are not straight. I'm going to use my ruler here just to make sure that I adhere this down correctly. The lines are a little bit kind of off-centered and askew. So I just want to make sure that it's nice and straight. So I'm just going to rest my ruler here on this piece. And then we're going to start with Donald. Donald is looking in. And Mickey is going to, or Minnie, I should say, is going to straddle these two colors. So I'm going to start with these two at the ends and work my way towards the center. This is roughly the same distance. And for the same reason where my lines are a little bit kind of wonky, if you want, I am going to make sure that I use my ruler and have these nice and straight. So we're going to work from each end. I know that I want her to be kind of centered in between these two patterns here. And we have two more. I'm going to add Dumbo. I'm not going to push that in right away because I want to make sure that I'm giving myself kind of like the same space in between all of my photos. And I think that looks good. Kind of eyeballing it and pushing them in. I really like the black at the bottom. It's a really nice base and it's like a nice foundation. So let's add our photos in the center. So these are going to be right in the center. And you know what? I am just going to unsticky this piece and make sure that everything is lining up. So that's a good tip for you when you are working with a double layout and you want to make sure that everything lines up, especially if your photos are meant to line up. I don't have enough black on this one. You want to make sure to kind of bump your pages together, and then that way when you add your next photo on this side, you can see that everything is nice and lined up. So I'm going to add this one here, and these are roughly 3 by 3. I kind of trimmed them down and then I just added them on a single mat because I knew that I wanted to concentrate right here in the center. Let's talk about the embellishments for this page and the title. So when I was looking for my title, I reached for my Cricut because I didn't have a sticker, or I'm not working with a Disney collection that sometimes have pre-made titles, but I think that this title, you'll agree, this is all done on my Cricut, and I did a double offset. So the inside is black, there's an offset in white, and then I did another offset in black. And I really like my title. The magic starts here, and it really did. It was quite the magical experience. So I can bump that over. This is running across both of my pages, so you can see that I almost have a triangle forming right now. So while I was in my Cricut, and I do have Cricut access, so I do have access to a lot of images, I found this castle and I thought, you know what? This looks really good. It fits perfectly right on top of the castle, so I really like that. As far as Mickey ears, for this one here, I found this really pretty silhouette. So I'm going to add this right underneath my photo, just like so. Do you see that? It's just kind of sneaking out, saying hello. And then I have an area right here for my journaling. For my journaling, I know that I have a lot to say on all of my pages. I actually contemplated not putting this photo here and adding more journaling. So when it comes to journaling for your Disney adventure, you might have a lot to say, so you might have to break it up into different locations. But I was able to keep it all in one little, this is like a 3 by 4, I think, and I'm going to add it right here. So now I have to make sure that when I add my little ears, it doesn't go over my text. I might have to shrink that down. There we go. We're just going to move Mickey. We're just going to change the angle of Mickey, and my journaling is going to fit. I love that. I love that this layout came together really, really nicely. When you look at this layout and it's almost done, there's like 3 sheets of pattern paper. So you've got one for the back. You have the accent color that was pulled from the photo. And then of course we grounded everything with black. When I was looking for papers to document this particular day, and when I was looking at this collection here, now I did look at the B side, but on this side here, let me just take this out of the way. Do you see this? This is really pretty to me. I really like the colors. I love that it's picking up on these flowers, and the blue is picking up on the jean colors that we're wearing. So I decided to fussy cut some of these flowers, and I'm not sure if they're gonna make an appearance, but they could, right? They could make an appearance maybe up here. We're gonna add some of these. They are tiny little flowers, but they might be just what I needed to complete this layout. Let me get my tweezers. Sometimes when I'm dealing with little pieces, it's just easier to use tweezers. So let's see if we can add a little bit of flair with just a few little flowers, not too much. But I think this might be really pretty. So I like them here. I could add some here, but probably would have to go with the blue ones. Uh-oh, that means I have to cut more. All right, let's see if we can make this work. The leaves themselves are easy enough to cut, but the flowers, if you're not a fussy cutter, you might not like this for an option. You know what? I think I like the flowers. I like the sprinkle of just a few little flowers here and there. I might have to go and fussy cut a couple more. All right, I'm about to wrap this up, and I really hope that you like the addition of these flowers. I did fussy cut a few more, as you can see here. But for the most part, this is really clean and simple. I did take a moment and I did die cut my journaling spot. I really liked the frame of it. It kind of reminded me of the regalness of this castle. So I think that that fits really nicely. I like that I have Mickey here peeking from underneath my photo. It's not overly done with Mickey embellishments. Now, what's a layout without a few sparkle and shine? And these ones came in this week. They are absolutely perfect. These are the Shimmer Star Foam stickers, and they are part of a Halloween collection. And I thought, look at that. They've got black little shimmery stars. They have purple. Let me pull these out. I think I might use the purple. Look at the purple. And then there's white. Now the white doesn't stand out as much, so I think I'm not going to do white. I think I'm going to keep black for another layout, because honestly, when am I going to be able to use purple little stars on a Disney layout? I feel that that brings in the magic of the castle. So let's just add a few here and there to finish up our embellishments. And of course, this is completely unexpected, right? Would you think of putting little stars on with flowers? Probably not, but because this is a Disney layout, I think it fits. You always need a little bit of shimmer and shine. So we're going to add just little clusters of 3s, and I'm playing with all 3 sizes here. We've got small, medium, and large. I think I'm going to frame this one here, and then we're going to cross over. I don't want to overdo it, but let's face it, these are almost meant to be. They're so cute. I might have to add a couple more. Let me just change this one out to a larger one. I really do like that. And I think I'm going to add a couple more down here to kind of finish off my page. This is something that I like to do. I like to do a little row of 3. These little stars are perfect. It is the perfect finishing touch that I was looking for. Let's take a closer look at all of these. So let's look at the embellishments now that were all fussy cut. And if you know me, that is not something I love to do, but you know what? Sometimes it has to happen. So if you're watching this and you're wondering where to start, here's a challenge for you. Pick 6 of your favorite photos. If you don't have these down here, that's okay. Pick about 6 of your favorite photos and come scrap along with us and see where the magic takes you. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, I invite you to come and join me and Janice as we document our Disney adventure. I will link her video down in the description box below. We've also started a wonderful playlist where you will get tons of inspiration to help you scrapbook your Disney magical moments. Well, that's it for me today. Thank you for spending some of your creative time with me. Have yourself a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this video, we started a full playlist where we will keep on adding our Disney adventures. See you there.